Hey there, and welcome to the channel. If you're just meeting me for the first time, I'm Javadine. I'm a mom, I'm a nurse, and I'm an entrepreneur. And if you are already subscribed, welcome back. So today we are going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. Now, let's be real, okay? Your 9 to 5 job does not care about you. So stop relying on other people's businesses to help you prosper when you should be focusing on your own. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why 2025 is the perfect time to launch your side hustle. And if you already have a side hustle, why it's the perfect time to grow your side hustle. Now, by the end of this video, I hope that you are going to be motivated, you're going to be inspired, and you're going to take action with the tools to get you started to launch your side hustles in 2025 and beyond. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates on my new videos. So let's talk about why your job doesn't care about you. And you see the trends, like if you've been working for a while, I'll give you a bit of background about myself. I've been working since I was 15 years old. I'm 38 now. I worked in fast food, I've worked in retail, I've worked in hospitals, I've worked in clinics as a nurse, I've worked from home remotely. And I've worked with all populations of people and telehealth and a different kind of customer service jobs as well. The growing trend that you'll see over time is that companies are putting more emphasis on making profit than they are benefiting the employees. Now, I know that sounds really obvious. And you think, if I'm a business, like I want to focus on profits too, maybe. But you know, if you focus on your people, then you make your people happy, your employees happy, and your business grows. But that's not really the trend that we're seeing. So if you think about it, and I'm on maternity leave right now with my youngest son. If you don't know me and this is your first time meeting me, I'm a mama to 4, and we have a dog too. So, but while I'm on mat leave right now, I missed out on the Christmas bonus. So if you're lucky enough to have a company that gives you some of the profit sharing in the ways of a bonus, great. But that, from like my first time ever, is when I started to work for this company that I'm on mat leave from right now. My first time ever getting a bonus. The most actually, that's not true. I did get a small, we do get a bonus at my clinic job too. On our last pay of the year. But, you know, it might be a matter of time before these companies decide that they're going to shrink some of those employee benefits and focus more on profits, which most of the other places that I worked for do. They go to cheaper packaging. They give you more workload. I worked in a hospital where when I started, it was 5 patients to 1 nurse. No, 4 patients to 1 nurse. Let me correct myself. Then by the time I left that unit, it was 5 patients to 1 nurse, and the ratios, like when somebody goes on break, and if you're working a night shift, for example, you're covering a break. Now 10 patients are on 1 nurse, kind of thing. And I've worked where when a full-time employee left, they didn't replace it with a full-time person. They actually just kind of MacGyvered it, so you're just working with 1 less person. And also, another thing that happens is they replace that full-time line with 2 part-times, because when you have somebody part-time, you don't have to pay them benefits. You don't have to pay for their benefits and stuff like that. So the companies, and I don't blame them. Maybe the managers care about you, and maybe I don't know, maybe that your CEO cares about you, but in the most, like the grander scheme of things, and when it comes to, business, your 9 to 5 job is not going to be there for you when you get sick. If you can't do the work duties anymore. I remember I was taking my son, he was probably about like 4 years old at the time, my oldest son. I was taking him out of the bathtub and I messed up my wrist somehow. It probably wasn't the bathtub, but that's probably like the final straw that made my wrist get all messed up. And I remember going to work after seeing the physiotherapist, and the physiotherapist said I have to wear a wrist brace. So I'm there wearing my wrist brace. He says, even when you sleep, wear this wrist brace. And I'm working in a busy hospital emergency department with my wrist brace, and they're like, nope, sorry, like you can't have that. I get it. It's an occupational hazard, because if you're wearing this thing that kind of covers your wrist, they're like, you can't really wash your hands like fully, because like this part of your wrist can't be washed properly, etc. But I'm like, I'll just like wear gloves over it. Like I need to wear this wrist brace to use my hand properly. Nope, no, you can't use the wrist brace. You can't have extra time off, and we can't modify your work duties. Like, sorry, not sorry. So ended up having to like just take a tensor and keep that wrapped, and then on my breaks and after work and overnight I would use the wrist brace that I'm supposed to, but that delayed my healing. So here I'm saying, like, you're giving so much of your life and your time and your good like years where you're like the most strongest and your most uh-oh, just an update, like everyone in my house has been sick for the past little while, and I'm starting to get sick too. But you're giving essentially your best years. When I started working as a nurse, I was 21 years old, and I started like, I just like was such a dedicated, committed, hard worker. I worked at the hospital for like 17 years. But then at the same time, work wherever you want for as long as you want. And the minute you stop working, or the minute you can't do the job, they're not going to have your back, right? The only thing that I found that you can help yourself is if you pursue entrepreneurship. Do something on the side. Right now, I'm on maternity leave, so I'm really ramping up, my entrepreneurship journey, because another point why 2025 is a good time to pursue this. The workplace culture is not only toxic, but it's like this burnout culture. Maybe not everywhere, but for the people that this resonates with, you understand what I'm saying. It's a burnout culture. They will work you, and keep putting more on your plate and more on your plate and more on your plate until you just burn out. You just can't shoulder the work anymore. And I'll tell you guys another story. I've been working for so many years. I have a lot of stories, but I'll tell you the ones that fit, that pop up in my head. So speaking of burnout culture, I was pregnant. I went on mat leave. I came back to work for 6 months, and then I was on mat leave again. Because I was just back to work for a short window, I didn't really have a permanent position. I was like a float. What they call as a float is like you fill in. So I was filling in a role that they needed to hire somebody for. So because I had the knowledge and the skill and the expertise, I was just pushed into that role to fill this gap. And then once they hired somebody, I was supposed to move on to another program. Spoiler alert, I did not move on to another program. I, in fact, was in that position for the full 6 months or more. It was about 6 months. And this position, when I tell you that I burnt out. It was only 6 months, but I complained so much. I decided that I was going to be vocal. They put work and they put work and they put work and they put work, and I'm like, really? This is unrealistic expectations. This is really unrealistic for one person to shoulder, let alone somebody who's like a relief, like a float person. I'm not a permanent staff member on your team. I shouldn't be holding more than 50% of the weight of the team. This is really too much for one person. Oh yeah, we're gonna hire somebody, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna divide, we're gonna do this. Months go by, weeks go by. I'm like, they just want me to keep taking on all this work, and then there's more and more work because there's more and more new patients coming on every single day. And I said, okay, I said it in email, I said it verbally in team meetings, I've said it on the one-on-ones with the management and the other staff. This is too much. Yeah, you will work on it. Just, just pushing it along, pushing it along. Until the very last day that I was working there, they still had nobody for me to hand over my duties to. I still had nobody to say, hey, I'm leaving, so and so is going to be taking over the work. There was still nobody. Everything was just fell on my shoulders, and and the plan was when I left that 3 more people got hired to take on that role. So to me, that says you'd let me shoulder like the weight of 3 persons, and when I leave, you'll have 3 people to do the same job. So when I'm telling you it's unrealistic, but when I'm doing it, oh yeah, like you just keep holding the weight. You just keep holding the weight on your shoulders. Don't worry. And it was very stressful for me because I'm pregnant. I still have a toddler at home. Like I still have other kids I'm looking after. I'm working from home, yes, but I was sitting on that computer chair on the desk for 8 hours a day with just 30 minutes to 1 hour breaks. There's meetings, I was on the phone. Like I felt like I lived in that chair for that full 6 months, and there was no straying from that because the workload was so heavy. And I feel like that's the burnout culture that is unrealistic, and that's the reality that we live in. So I planned before I left, I thought that I could work on something on the side, but it was really hard because of the intense workload. So that's why I'm pushing for this for 2025. And because I'm here to be your mentor and your coach and your motivator and your inspiration, then, if you haven't subscribe to the channel so we can journey through this together. 2025 is the year that we're not going to rely on another person's business. We are going to be creators, and we are going to be active into building our own life and to channeling our own income. Now, I made some notes because I don't want to digress too far from the subject. But yeah, layoffs too. I was laid off / fired when I was 18 years old. And quick story, I did my first year in nursing, my first year nursing degree. After the first year of my nursing degree, I got a job as a camp nurse, and I was all excited about it. There was international students, and they were living on the campus, and I was going to be the nurse with another nurse. And I got late. Well, July went great, and I had planned like the summer I was going to make this money so that I can start my second year of university with some money. After the first month, things were really great. the second month, so July was great. August, they expected lower volumes than expected, but it's in the contract. If that happens, they're supposed to lay you off and give you some kind of severance. However, they just like mass fired like 5 or 6 of us and said that, oh, your performance was this, and we tried to find you once, we couldn't find you, and all these excuses, and just like mass fired. Like, it was like calling us into the office one by one. And I remember me and those 5 other people were just like, we all got together right after, and we were just devastated. Like, some people were crying. Like, we're like 18 years old, 17 years old, and getting fired, getting laid off from our summer job, right? You think that you have plans for this money that you're gonna make, and you depend on this job to meet those needs, and when they have a different agenda, they cut you out of that, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You can try to fight. If you get laid off and you have a big company or something like that, definitely see where you can fight it, get a bigger severance, make sure like your lawyers look over your severance package and stuff like that. I was 18 years old. That was not the case. My mom's been laid off before too, and that was sort of devastating to us too, because I think that was when I had just started university. So seeing my mom's get laid off, and then like a year or two later, I got laid off. I think that's where I got my strength from, because I'm like, I saw my mom got laid off. She made it work. She went back to school. She became a PSW. It's all good now. She's been a PSW for the past several years. I guess you can say like nursing and PSW in the healthcare, you might always find something, I suppose. But that's where a lot of the burnout and the heavy workloads come from, and also workplace injuries and stuff like that. And when you do get injured in the workplace, like, they're not like, well, thank you so much for all these years of service. Let's help you out. Let's help you recover. Your coworkers might send you some flowers or something nice initially, but your employer's not going to be there for you. Sorry. So the first time when I became an entrepreneur was actually when I got my first nursing job. I started working my nursing job, and I still had a lot of student loans to pay. So when I was able to switch to a 12-hour shift, I picked up a second job. I paid all that off. And honestly, I think I almost always had a second or third job after that. After that experience being laid off, I felt like I always need to have my foot in the door somewhere else. Like, it will not happen that I lose my job and I can't pick up extra shifts anywhere else. I always need to have my foot in the door somewhere else. And unfortunately, like, that could lead to like even more burnout, right? But at the same time, I worked like 2 other nursing jobs, and I decided to buy a house where I could renovate the basement. Actually, I didn't want to renovate the basement, but what ended up happening is I ended up having to renovate the basement and create a basement apartment, and rent that out. So at least all the money that I was working my 3 jobs for, and all the spare time I had, was going into this basement apartment. And then finally, I moved to the basement and then rented out the upstairs because it was ready, and I could take more time to finish the renovations on the basement. But that was the first time I was able to create an income using the income that was coming in, if that makes sense. Using my 9 to 5, so to speak, my 9 to 5 income to bring in the money to afford the house, to renovate the house, to use that as a cash flowing rental property. So I went on to do that, and then I bought another place, and then I bought another place. So I had like 3 properties that I was renting out, and that was going very well. And I thought that that would be my exit from nursing. when I accumulated enough rental properties and the rental properties would pay me the income to replace nursing, and I can just focus on that. However, divorce and other things happened, and I like lost all my properties. Anyway, that's for another video. So real estate was the first time where I had like this freedom and this flexibility and this extra money coming in. I developed new skills. So another thing with entrepreneurship is you develop new skills and new talents like social media, new talents like tiling, new talents like property management. I learned so much from having experience being a landlord, and even doing renovations and working with contractors and picking up on so many skills like that I would have never if I didn't embark on a journey of entrepreneurship. And so definitely you'll develop like a whole bunch of skills. And YouTube is great for that because the YouTube University has a library of a lot of things that you need to know. Like when my toilet in my one of my rentals broke down the first time, I went on YouTube University to see if it's something that I could fix without having to hire a handyman. And I did. Like, I learned so many things from YouTube, and that's why I think now, if you have developed a set of skills, if you've grown and taken on all this knowledge just by going through a project yourself, and you have something that's worthwhile to share because you've learned something and you can teach somebody who's going through the steps following along in your path that you've already are further down the line in, you can teach that stuff on YouTube and give back and be a part of the community. So that's what I'm doing for sure. Anywho, so why 2025 is the perfect time to start your side hustle continued. A lot of it is now, a lot of online stuff has emerged. So it's a lot easier when you are done your 9 to 5. You can build something while you're at home. There's e-commerce, there's social media, freelance platforms that are just making it easier to make money online. And you should definitely take advantage of those in 2025 now. Another thing is culturally, people are now more accepting of a side gig being a main gig. For example, now you can say like, oh, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a social media influencer, I'm a I own a bake shop, or I do custom desserts, or I do custom events, and that is more acceptable now to be like a job. Like that's something that you do, where before it was like, oh, that's just a side hustle, or that's just something you do on the side. Now it's acceptable that like, no, that's how I make my money. And you can definitely start those things while you have your 9 to 5 job, right? There's no need to necessarily quit one to start the other. You can build yourself, build your brand, build your business on the side. What about if you're thinking, well, I don't have the skills to do something on the side. Like maybe I'm not really good at baking. I can't do a bake shop, or I can't. There's another video that I posted, which was 100 ways to make 100K. So this is 100 different ways to make $100,000 plus as an entrepreneur. And I would encourage you to watch that video after this one to spark your imagination and creativity, or even just pick one of those out of the 100 to say, okay, well, I can start doing this and see where that takes me. Or if you're ambitious, I can start doing this and I can do a little bit of this. But if you're not that great at multitasking, I think naturally I'm good at multitasking because I have like kids and I have a household to run, and I work from home and I do all this kind of stuff. But definitely focus on one thing, build that up. If you have time, energy, scale that thing. or start something else. You can be a serial entrepreneur, or you can just focus on one thing while you're still doing your job. Let your job be the job that pays your bills and gets your like immediate lifestyle needs met. Let your side hustle grow to a place where you can leave your job and do that and pursue that. As a busy mom, it's hard to find the time to, let's say, work a 9 to 5. I feel like I'd miss out on so many other things. When I was working as a nurse and working 3 jobs, I missed out on like so many events and life stuff. And I don't want that to be me anymore. Entrepreneurship has that flexibility and freedom and unlimited income potential. And that's definitely, if you feel like you've been burnt out from years of working past, or you just know that there's more to life, or you could be making more, or you're fighting for a promotion that they just don't give you, but they'll give you the work of that role that you're trying to get into, but not the pay for it. And you just know you're just destined for more. If you're just have it in your heart that you wanted to start a business, 2025 is the perfect time. Don't hesitate. Start your business. If you're not sure where to start, again, I encourage you to go to that video, 100 Ways to Make 100K. Get inspired. Start something. Start somewhere. Do some research. If you've made it this far into the video and you haven't already subscribed, I do encourage you to subscribe to the channel. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. And also, thanks for watching. I wish you all a very happy, prosperous, successful 2025. And I hope you do start your entrepreneurship journey. Thanks for watching. Bye.